Breaking news, Anthony Cabasa from OAN here and Newsmax independent journalist just posted this right now. Check this out. It appears that some sort of a drone or bomb strike just happened right now in Tehran. This is within the last 8 minutes, by the way. So we're talking about this is happening, live as we're here. Because my understanding right now is that all the sides of the right wing, whether it's the, kosher right, the woke right, whatever they're calling them now, the kosher versus the woke, the anti-Israel is pro-Israel. They can all agree on one thing. We should not be going to war with Iran. And that even seems like, I'm not talking about the diehard Israel supporters, but Matt Walsh or, Michael Knowles, even Daily Wire hosts are saying, no. We shouldn't go to war with Iran. It's not in our best interest. My question is, when Trump says directly, look, whether we like it or not, Israel's going to bomb Iran, don't we have enough control over the Israeli government with the size of our military and our aid to force their hand to not do what they're allegedly doing right now? Assuming that they are bombing them, couldn't we not have stopped this? Isn't this a failure on Trump's part a little bit?
How would we stop it?
Right, to cut off aid completely. Just say, hey,
we're not. That they need our aid?
I think they do. I think they like our aid. I think it might have been a good bargaining chip.
I don't know. I still think that this, first of all, that there's war on planet Earth at all is a bunch of death cult psychopaths that want any kind of death on planet Earth of innocent men, women, and children for any reason. The people that are running the wars, their children never die, and it's really absolutely disgusting that there's war on planet Earth over land or what supremacy of any kind at this point. But like I said, I can't get away from that. I believe that every single aspect of war right now, Israel, Iran, America right now, basically they're trying to foment a civil war, Ukraine, Russia, all of it. I think it's all the same money paying for all of it. I think that people at the very top that want the reset, that want the reconstruction world, that have all the contracts after the world blows up, they are pushing towards a nuclear war, and they are evil, and any aspect of that. Now, one thing that is never brought up is that the biggest, as far as I know, the one country that we have a relationship with that is the biggest enemy, apparently, of Iran is Saudi Arabia, because Mecca is in Saudi Arabia. This is my understanding of what's going on in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has said that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff going on in the Middle East, because don't forget that half the Middle East has a relationship with Iran. Half the Middle East does not. And that also goes with the Muslim Brotherhood and whatever's going on in Qatar and all of this. But Trump was just in the Middle East, and I saw the prince in Saudi Arabia say that he didn't want nuclear weapons. He doesn't want the world to have nuclear weapons. That, obviously he was saying the Saudi Arabian military, the money, everything, Saudi Arabia. But he said if Iran got a nuclear weapon, we would have to. He said he was never going to allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. And if they did, they would get them, and they would get obviously worse. Nuclear weapons at all is psychotic, and it's insane, and it's unhuman, and it's evil to even that we even have those weapons, but let alone we don't know what bioweapons we have. But I still believe that the entire world war is being funded by the same people the First and Second World War were funded by. I just can't not believe that this is all a huge psyop on 8 billion innocent people by a group of people that will not let go of power.
I just happen to feel like Israel wants a war with Iran for the same reason why they've wanted a war with every country that the United States has had a regime change with. They want regional control, not only of the area, but also this is a blood feud. This is an ancient blood feud. There's a lot that goes on to this. This is not like, I think it's weird that Americans just think that we kind of see things as like a modern day, oh, Iran's just building a nuke. And it's like, no, there is ideological, religious, splits between Iran and Israel. And they have reason. Israel has a lot of reason to not want Iran to have power, to not want Iran to be where it is geographically, and to make sure that they have regional control, because they are an empire in their own way, Israel is. But the United States, in my opinion, has fought every single war in the Middle East primarily because of Netanyahu's speech in the 1990s, and they lobbied and took control of our government through APAC and other outside funding like Adelson or whatever, in order to push us to strategically fight and wage wars. Now, I don't think that that's the only reason we fought. I think that the neocons have been wanting this form of warfare. I think when you look at Bush and the way that even he found his purpose per se by fighting the global war on terror, this is the new neocon mastermind. That's what he's doing. I don't think the reason why we really chose those countries is any other reason than I believe the lobbying of the United States that Netanyahu and their pack are pushing us. I know you're going to disagree with me on that, but I feel like that. Not I feel like I firmly believe that the United States does not have strategic or true opportunistic reason to be in these sustained wars, and I feel like Trump knows that. I feel like Trump knows,
of course,
that it's like this is
and
Israel's
we should have
battle.
no wars.
That's what I'm saying. These are Israel's battles, not ours. So but I know that we'll get involved if they start bombing Tel Aviv or something like that. I feel like we're getting in.
Yeah, but it's the size of New Jersey, which is the same argument about Taiwan. It's the size of Maryland. So all those people you're going to sacrifice, everyone. The bottom line is, I don't think any of this is about Israel. I don't think the people funding both sides of this war, everywhere that war is right now, care about any Palestinian or any Jew. I don't think they care about Israel. I think they care about that pier that they're building in Haifa. I think they care about that waterway. I do not think people are understanding that, like in 1984, the people that are the enemy of humanity, of planet Earth, of our children, of our planet, of our future, are a global public-private partnership that is put together in regional meetings around the world that have been going on since World War I. And the bottom line is, they don't want nation states at all. They want a global governance model run out of Brussels. And you know what? And guess who's involved? The United States, China, India, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, the Middle East. There are people from all these countries. I just think all roads lead to the international intertwined banking system. And I'm sorry to say that if people want to pick who they're on sides with, the people on the ground, the 8 billion people on planet Earth, are nothing to the people that are running this shit.
They want what? Wasn't like they wanted 2 million. What was the number that they put on the on those pillars? I forget the number.
500 million.
Yeah, it was like they wanted to reduce by 90%, 95%
and
of the world.
Who do you think put up those?
The Guidestones. I don't know.
I believe, or I guess, the biggest eugenicists and one of the biggest supporters of the United Nations to begin with was Turner, Ted Turner. He lived, if you look at where Ted Turner lived, in Georgia. Remember, he started CNN down there, CIA, CNN, I don't know. But he was one of the biggest funders of the eugenics entire model, which I think a lot of what's going on right now is a massive eugenics plan, because to run their technocracy, they need as much water, electricity, natural resources. If you read Agenda 2030 and the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, it is only to be sustainable for them and their financial system and their control system. And now they have Palantir making deals in America, but also with NATO. We shouldn't have been in NATO. NATO's not a defensive force. I mean, we're being, and the American taxpayer are paying for NATO. They're paying for the UN. They're paying for UNESCO. They're paying for all these groups, Gavi, the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, Open Society. None of them pay taxes. None of them have, they're all kind of immune. We need to understand that there is a global intertwined worldwide group. It is not a conspiracy theory. We just went through COVID. How could anyone think that it's a conspiracy theory? The truth is that there are people that run the world, like out of 1984. If you go look up 1984 Winston description of the state, it mocks Mao and Hitler, saying that the state in 1984 has no allegiance or alliance to any flag, any people, any religion, any territory, anything. It is power for power's sake. It is control for control's sake, and it is to be passed on to their heirs. And I mean, basically, that's the description. So if we went back to George Washington's farewell address and actually said, this is what Trump is trying to do, and people would read it, they would be like, oh my God, we went so wrong. And that's where I think we are. I think 1912, 1913, America was captured, and it's only gotten worse.